Good day, everyone. So, we are Group 2, and we are tackling all about mooring and unmooring of vessels. So, what is mooring? Mooring is understood as the service whose purpose making fast a vessel by taking its line and attaching them fixture and keys on keys or jetties. Following instructions from the captain of the vessel in a mooring sector designated by a port authority and in the appropriate order and layout in order to facilitate docking and mooring and unberthing operations.
So, what is unmooring? The unmooring service is understood as the service whose object is to release and cast off the lines of a vessel from the fixtures to which it is moored, following the sequence and instructions issued by the captain, and without affecting the mooring conditions of contiguous vessels. Common mooring methods used for ships. Some common mooring methods used for ships are Mediterranean mooring, Baltic mooring, running mooring, standing mooring, spider mooring buoys, single point or single buoy mooring, conventional or multi-buoy mooring, ship-to-ship mooring. Each ship is designed with a mooring device. Therefore, ropes and wires of recommended strength can help it be safely moored at a berth, floating platform, buoy, or dock. Fundamentally, the vessel must be placed next to the dock or berth between the mooring buoys on other ship or barge, and then use your own anchor mooring line or shoreline to fix it. Ships sometimes use seaward anchors and mooring lines to tow the ship away from the dock and at the same time abandon or quickly fix the ship and use seaward anchors to help control the lateral movement speed of the steering board. The maneuver can be carried out with or without the assistance of a tug.
Ship to ship transfer operation. It involves berthing two ships of different or the same size together for cargo transfer. During this operation, one of the ships was anchor or under sail. The approach area is usually behind the beam of the constant heading ship. During the approach, the maneuvering wearing ship is used to approach. It will be parallel to the heading of the other ship, and the horizontal distance between the two ships will overlap to less than 100 meters. Once this state is reached, the motorboat uses the engine and rudder to move the farther, increases the distance until the fenders touch each other. In this way, the two ships contacted in the parallel and passed the cables separately according to the mooring plan. As a convention, during the approach, the wind and the sea are based forward from the bow or at a small angle. Next, single buoy or single point mooring. Generally, large ships that cannot approach ports at the wharves are more outside the port range or in a sheltered anchorage, and, and cargo transfer can be carried out with the single point or single buoy mooring equipment. The basic principle of the is to keep the position of the ship stable relative to the buoy while allowing the ship to sway in the wind and the sea. A tag is usually set at the stern to keep the angle and distance of the fixed buoy. By placing the buoy in the center of the four anchors connected to it, usually when approaching a single point or single buoy mooring device, the weather is the main criterion for determining whether to moor a ship. Calm waters with the winds below 15 are considered to be a favorable approach. The existence of strong detail current limits the interval between berthing and berthing. The approach speed is usually slower than the speed all the same time approaching the buoy at a smaller angle, and then gradually drags the buoy messenger rope and use a short engine kick to slowly pull the ship towards the buoy to control and maintain the buoy when she is about 150 to 100 meters away from the buoy. It will move forward with the mooring winds to drag the blood vessel. In order to loosen the chain, it was released from the bow stopper and engine kick back for a short time, and the stern moved the bow to starboard propeller on the starboard side.
Conventional buoy mooring or multi-buoy mooring is this method. The anchor of bow is fixed with the two anchors, the stern fixed with buoys. During the approach, first the vessel reached the final parking position at 90-degree angle. From this final parking direction, then, when its ship moves in the first release to the starboard anchor at the predetermined position, the required number of cables was paid and the tail thrusters was also operated at the same time. To stop the ship, once the ship stopped, in the order to align the ship this centerline port, the cable was released, the starboard cable was released with the stern propulsion device. During this operation, the anchor cable is tightened to move the ship forward and bear weight to the pipeline downwind while dropping other pipelines that prevent the stern from swinging into the other buoys. The maneuver requires the skill effective operations of the crew and mooring equipment because the weight of the line can be heavy. Next, Mediterranean style mooring. First, this type of mooring equipment, engine motion, will be used determined to approach pre-calculated position and to ensure tilt with the bow berth and the release to starboard anchor in that location. After that, the engine will run rear and to port anchor will be the release to designated to location. The ship leaned back and moved to the starboard side. Therefore, the vessel secured by two anchors approaching the dock. Then the pass line used the anchor cables to secure the mooring. There should be about four shackles on each anchor point to complete relationship mooring to the tide usually used to control the drift of the ship of the dock while positioning the ship by sinking or releasing one of the anchors.
Common mooring equipment used for ships. Mooring equipment are the set of fittings and mechanism aboard a ship that are used to warp and secure. Di mo kita lagi guys. Naka black screen guys. Balik-balik. Tara kita. The next is common mooring equipment used for ships. Mooring equipment are the set of fitting and mechanism aboard a ship that are used to warp and secure the ship when it is moored at a dock, at the wall of a lock, to buoys, or alongside another vessel. Bollard. Bollard are short vertical sturdy, stocky structures generally built out of metal, used on piers or docks to help moor the vessels to the port. By anchoring the tow lines, in general people are more familiar with bollards as being found in major cities to prevent car ramming incidents in public places.
Fairleads, a guide for a mooring line which enables the line to be passed through a ship bulwark or other barrier, or to change direction through a congested area without snagging or fouling. Mooring winch. Mooring winch secures the shipboard end of mooring lines, provide for adjustment of the mooring line length and compensate for changes in draft and tide. General requirements for shipboard mooring winches are dealt with in ISO standards 3730 and 7825. Winches can be categorized by their control type, automatic or manual tensioning, drive type, steam, hydraulic or electric, by the number of drums associated with each drive, by the type of drums, split undivided, and by their brake type and brake application, band, disc, mechanical screw, spring applied.
Chokes. Chokes are structural reinforcement on ship which guide the mooring lines to and from the shore. Other vessels. Chokes need to be of a much higher SWL than the mooring line to avoid structural damage and withstand various forces when a vessel is moored. Mooring lines. Lines or cables used to secure a ship at a berth. Mooring lines should be arranged as a symmetrically as possible about the midship point of the ship. Breast lines. Mooring lines leading ashore as perpendicular as possible to the ship fore and aft line. Breast lines restrain the ship in one direction or off the berth. Headlines. Mooring lines leading ashore from the fore and or forecastle of a ship, often at an angle of about 45 degrees to the fore and aft line. Spring lines. Mooring lines leading in an early fore and aft direction, the purpose of which is to prevent longitudinal movement or surge of the ship while in berth. Spring lines restrain the ship in two directions. Head springs prevent forward motion and backspring aft motion. Stern lines. Mooring lines leading ashore from the after end or poop of ship, often at an angle of about 45 degrees to the fore and aft line.
So importance of correct.
And lastly, importance of correct mooring and unmooring equipment operation of a ship. Correct operation of the mooring equipment on board is indeed important for overall safe operation of a vessel in port. Mooring, being such a critical operation, reminds us of the fact that any unforeseen event could prove dangerous and fatal.
So, in order to implement safety and avoiding lives to be at risk, it's imperative for ship's personnel to maintain high standards of integrity of the mooring equipment. A better way will be to incorporate all the parts of the mooring equipment into the ship's planned maintenance system. So, that's all. Thank you for listening.